Good morning, everyone. Chris Simon here. So I thought I'd do a little live session with you all. If you have any questions, happy to take your questions this morning. Answer any questions you have on DV Lottery. I'm going to try. I always say this, or I often say this. I'm going to try and keep up with the questions today because, obviously I tend to get behind. And if somebody asks me some certain questions, I'm probably going to go off track. But if you have any questions, on DV Lottery, please feel free to ask, and I'll see if I can answer those questions for you. If you don't get your question answered in this live, I'm going to try. But if you don't get your question answered in this live, please go to my blog, britsimonsays.com, and ask me the question there, and I will answer all of the questions there, right? And so, you don't need to feel like I'm deliberately not answering you. I will answer if I can here. And if I can't do it here, then I'll answer it on my blog. Okay? Right. Big fan from Uzbekistan. I'm glad to hear that. I'd like to have some fans there. Always waiting for you, waiting your interview. Oh, very good. Nairobi Embassy, any advice you could give? I'm seeing a lot of stressing about Nairobi. The 2NLs are sent out during the month from the point that the visa bulletin was released, which was, about the 11th or 12th this month, until the end of the month, right? And it tends to go alphabetically, but we shouldn't be expecting the 2NLs for Nairobi yet, right? They're not late. And just be patient till the end of the month, and then let's have a conversation about Nairobi and whether they're showing signs that they can continue to get behind, or whether they're showing signs that they're going to actually speed up and take all the cases. I think it'll be the latter. I'm very confident that Nairobi will improve. So don't panic, in my opinion. But certainly right now they're not late. Just relax. You just need to be patient. Patience is extremely important in this process. Okay. Say something about Nairobi Embassy. Just did. No 2NLs for 4 months. That's not true, actually. It's not true that they haven't sent any 2NLs for 4 months. But anyway. Just relax, okay, about Nairobi. Hope you're fine. Yes, I am. Thank you. Philip, how are you doing? When a big jump, big bump on VB, kidding, good to catch you live. You didn't get me going. I was like, have you not seen my videos, Philip? I'm sure you have. I just don't think for other people who don't understand the joke that Philip is making. I don't believe we're going to get big jumps, partly because we're further into the number ranges than many of you realize, and we're further into the progress than many of you realize. I consistently hear from people who say, oh, the processing is going so slow, when in fact we're ahead of the last couple of years. And the target numbers that they're going to get to are lower than you're anticipating. So we're at Africa 25,000. I only really expect us, I think that's not quite halfway, but close to halfway through the numbers. So you're expecting them to get to 80,000. I'm not expecting them to get to 80,000. That's the difference between your thinking that numbers are slow and my thinking they're not slow, right? We're a little bit behind half of the numbers that I expect in the end. And part of that is explained by the distribution of cases and the density of cases reducing in later number ranges. Partly. In EU, actually, I don't think we're going to get out. I don't think we're going to get into a lower distribution range, with the exception of Uzbekistan, obviously. But that's a unique case. Anyway, Philip, good to speak to you, mate. I was going around your website the other day, by the way. Good work, and you've done some exciting stuff. You should really come and work for my company. It's the sort of person we need. Anyway. Oh, and one of our offices is in Columbus, Ohio, so you don't have to come and live where all the atheist muppets live around me. So, Fat Cat, AS69 something. When should we expect a turn up? Soon enough. Be patient. Happy weekend. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Black Middle Eastern. Sammy's Lifestyle says, hello, Britt. My interview is on 3rd of February, but my bachelor's degree, my middle name is placed in front of my first name. Is there a problem? Why would that be the case? Why would you have your middle name in front of you? That sounds weird. Okay, so look, I always try and explain it this way to people. Your identity is established by your birth certificate and your passport, right? That's your identity. that relates to your legal name, and that legal name should match in your DS-260. Some people, for whatever reason, have mismatches of information in their education documents. In your case, it's the odd order of the names. Some other people struggle with having a different date of birth in their education documents, etc. But the education documents are not where those pieces of data are verified by, right? The date of birth comes directly from the birth certificate. It is not verified by any other document other than the birth certificate. The name is verified by the birth certificate and the passport and potentially marriage certificates or any other document that relates to a name change, legal name change, right? So you establish a train of history. The education documents, your only challenge with those is to present them, hopefully with your correct name and with your correct date of birth. But if they don't have those correct details, all you need to do is prove that they are your educational certificates, right? That you are the person that they relate to. So why your name was different on that certificate, I don't know. But you just need to show that that is your educational certificate. That's your only challenge. Okay, so there you go. How many moths should we take for preparation after visa approval? There is no particular number of moths that you need. Although moths, if you store them in with your clothes, they will ruin your clothes. So don't have too many moths. I find if you have one moth as a pet, that's really enough, right? Hello, sir. Thanks for being there with us. I just want to know the meaning of backlog. Backlog is a generic term that relates to any situation where there is more work to be done than is being kept up with, right? So in other words, if we have a DS-260 processing backlog, it means that there is this many DS-260s to process, loads of, where's my other hand? That many. And they're only processing that many on a daily basis. So there is a backlog of work. There's work that has to be done. Where's my phone going? Whatever. That's what a backlog means. A backlog at an embassy means that they have got people lined up in a queue of people, and that queue is stage 4 or AV. It's a queue of people, and they might have, let's say, 500 people lined up in that queue in an order, and I've explained that order in one of my videos. I've very carefully explained how that order is established. But there is an ordered queue that is kept of people in AV status, that is stage 4, current for interview processing. And if there's 500 people in that queue, a line, right? If there's 500 people and the embassy is only taking 100 people per month, then it's going to take them 5 months to deal with that backlog. And all the time, if more people are being added to that queue, another 200 people are added, another 200 people are added every month, then that backlog is growing. The queue is growing because the embassy is not taking enough appointments. That's where embassy backlogs come from. Okay. Practical wisdom. I wonder about that, but okay. I was born in Kuwait, but now an Indian national, now working in India. Any chances for selection in DV26? Your nationality has nothing to do with your chances of selection in DV lottery. The DV lottery is to do with your place of birth. So frankly, that you're an Indian national living in India makes no difference. You were born in Kuwait. That's it. You'll be seen as a Q80, right? You'll be charged to Q8. Have you done a video of AOS on the base of DV lottery? Yes, I've done several. I've got an article at my website, britsimonsays.com, that talks about AOS. I think I've done 2 videos on my own of adjustment of status. I've talked about adjustment of status with Jesse Bless to explain some of the things that are necessary or important in AOS. And I went through AOS for DV lottery myself in 2014, right? So I've talked about it quite a lot. However, if you ask me any questions on DV-related adjustment of status, I normally say the absolute expert in this is someone's mum, who is a user. It's a username of someone in a forum, which is forums.immigration.com. And she is the absolute goddess of DV-related adjustment of status. All you have to do is read what she has written. She's prepared a guide. She's got a spreadsheet that has all the information you need. Frankly, all you need to do for most adjustment of status cases for DV purposes is just follow her guidance. And I would never contradict what someone's mum says in terms of adjustment status. She is the expert, not me. So there you go. Please, Air33K, safe for Freetown. The number is safe. Freetown is doing okay. Should be okay. We'll see. Monthly experience doesn't show up on your website. Probably if he is post his experience. I haven't yet approved. That. Let me just check. Britt Simon. So things don't show up on my website until I approve them if they're not from people that I know. So if he's, I can see I've got to approve that. Super detailed. Hang on a second. Let me just approve it. I'm going to magically approve it now, and it will appear. So basically, he's done it a couple of times because he doesn't. Honestly, Mantha, oh dear. It really is like you've had a lobotomy at times. You've been around a long time, so you should know that until I approve a post on my blog, it's not going to turn up, right? But no, I see you've posted it several times because you got frustrated and didn't understand that, didn't remember that, whatever. Anyway, I've just approved one, so there you go. Black Middle Eastern, wish you and family a happy new year. Thank you. Marcus Resch, good morning. Got my 2NL email this morning. Now waiting for ESC to update in Montreal. Good. That problem that I posted a video about a few days ago is continuing. And the last time this happened, which was only a few months ago, that continuation happened for several weeks. And there were some people who were very, very close to actually appearing for their interviews before they actually got their actual appointment time. I don't think it will take that long this time, but it could do. And if you're concerned, you can contact the embassy as well as contacting KCC. Although the embassy do know about your case. Sometimes they will deny that. But the moment KCC sends the 2NL to you, the case is transferred to the embassy. Now, the only thing is we don't quite know what the nature of the glitch is. So, could there be some sort of problem with their systems? We don't know. With the systems at the embassy level, I mean, we don't know, right? So, but don't panic. We've got weeks to go, right? Marcus, I can tell from your question, you're not panicking, and that's good, right? But some people are panicking. Mantha's probably panicking right now just for something to panic about. Hey Simon, thanks for the clarification. Does 2025 AS24XXX have a chance for 2NL? I posted videos on every region for 2025, including Asia. In my Asia video, you should take a look at it. I think it's about 30-40 minutes. I explain my complete rationale of why why my prediction is what it is. And I don't like giving the prediction on its own without you understanding the complete rationale, because if you don't understand the rationale, you won't understand the things that can affect the number up or down, right? And this isn't precise science. There are things that are going to happen that haven't happened yet, right, over the next 8 or 9 months or whatever, which will affect the final numbers, right? And so I try and lay out carefully what those impacts could be from what sort of factors, things like Trump or Trump initiating a ban or whatever, some sort of fairly big things. I try and lay out those factors and try and explain what those things will do to the numbers, right? So I don't want to just give the number, right? So, go and have a look at the video, please. Just take it. The green card, the DV lottery green card is probably the biggest thing that will ever happen in your life. You can fall in love with lots of women, right? You can fall in love and you can buy lots of houses and you get lots of jobs. But you only get a green card, generally speaking, one time. You only get selected in the DV lottery, unless you're very lucky, one time. This is a big freaking deal. And so if you don't think it's important enough to watch a 30-minute video by some British guy mumbling on about your chances of getting through the green card process, then I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to you. But I would take that half an hour and watch the video rather than just asking the question. That's just me. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name. that's a. Oh, maybe I am. Ira Dakunda. Ira Dakunda. Or no. Oh, very good. I'm a DV lottery winner, 25. I have a problem about disease. I got diagnosed with hepatitis C. Does that affect my case? So, for diseases that cause denial, Brit Simon. It should work. Yeah. Or in fact, you don't know there are 4, so you could just Google the words diseases that cause denial, Brit Simon, right? Or Brit Simon diseases. So, and then there's a video that comes up. Gosh. About me. Brit Simon into Google and you ask a question, you'll find if I've ever made a video, posted an article or whatever, you'll find those things pretty easily. So, have a look there. I've just posted that video for you, so you can have a look at that. And I explain not only what the diseases are, but also the rationale behind those diseases, right? So go and have a look at that. I received my 2NL, but when I followed the link in the email, it displays the old email update from May. Yes, we know. The 2NLs are not showing up in the CX system. It's not just you, it's everybody. I posted a video about that a few days ago. Relax. Ghana had 300 2NLs. Is that a good sign for months to come? Well, it's a good sign for those 300 2NLs. That's 600 people. Well, no, in Ghana, that would be less. It would be about 400 people. The derivative rate in Ghana is very low, which is a bit dodgy. But anyway, that's what it is. Does it mean that they're going to continue on that pace? I don't know, right? That's like, that's asking me to predict the future based on, I see one bird flying by my window. Does that mean that 10 more birds are going to come along in 5 minutes' time? I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know, but I can't make predictions. I'm just very happy that Ghana actually did do 300 interviews. It would be really weird to me that they would do that out of the blue. They did nothing for 5 months. Nothing. They took one case, which was a transfer from another embassy, case number 10,000. So they accepted no cases whatsoever for 5 months. Complete, utter failure. I have said that I've said in a couple of videos, I've been very outspoken about the embassy in Ghana treating people so badly. I even went as far in one video as to say there was a special place in hell for the staff at the US Embassy in Ghana if they didn't sort themselves out, if they didn't, if they just continued this way. So I'm not saying that they did these 300 2NLs in response to my videos. I don't think they know who I am, but I'm very glad that they did at least the 300. Does that mean they'll continue on that pace? I don't know, right? We have to wait and see. But since they've done 300, they have made a big dent in their backlog. That's really good. So fingers crossed. Let's hope. With this, I want to know how easily you can change your embassy location after some months and transfer it to a native embassy without moving to that embassy. In general, moving embassies is hard, right? You should not be thinking this is just like, oh, I'm going to go over there now. I'm going to contact KCC and tell them that I want to be moved to this embassy because it's a really good embassy. No, it doesn't work like that. They're not helpful. They're not cooperative. They want you to be. The KCC's idea is that everybody should be interviewed wherever they live. And if you happen to live in a country where the embassy is just going to destroy your chances, and that embassy never takes any cases, then tough shit. That's what they think. That's what they think. Tough shit is what they think, right? Now, I don't agree with that. So I think people should have a certain amount of mobility. But of course, the more moving embassies left, right, and centre, and up, and down, and sideways, the more chaos that causes at KCC. So many of you need to calm the heck down. Some of you are saying, "Oh, my case number is EU 27,000. I'm not happy with how Paris is performing some bullshit." and I'm going to move. It's like, wait, just wait. You're not going to be current until probably the June or July releases of the feasibility with that case number. Why the hell are you talking about moving embassies in January when you can see what they do in January and in February and March and April before you have to make any decisions, right? So half of you need to, unbunch your knickers and stop moving around like a bunch of little children and just calm the heck down and start using your brains, because those people that are moving their cases around for cases that won't be current until June, July, are making it more complicated for the people that need to move their cases because they are actually in trouble. But there aren't many embassies that are being completely obstructed. Right? So just everybody, calm down, right? This isn't DV 2023 or DV 24. This is DV 25, and things are going a little bit better. Okay, so just relax. And for a few of you, you've got some problems. Anchor Embassy is like probably the most glaring example now. Yeah, if you're in Ankara, you need to get that out of there, right? That should be obvious to all of you by now. Addis has fixed their problem. Looks like Ankara is starting to behave. There's some other embassies which aren't going great, but they'll probably fix themselves too. Okay. Please, I moved my case from Ghana to Togo. Will I do my medicals in Togo or Ghana? You'll do them in Togo. Each embassy is free to designate the physician that they trust, and they do that locally. So you generally take the medical where you interview locally. There are some exceptions to that. There's some embassies which no longer process their own cases, and they've centralized the processing. And in those embassies, they allow the medical to take place at the foreign embassy, and then you come for an interview, which is good. But that's pretty rare. Generally speaking, you take the medical where your interview is going to take place. Advocate. When should we expect a higher jump for AS region? Simon. Case number 13,600 here from Afghanistan. It's not going to be a high jump, right? You're going to see increases of a couple of thousand a month, maybe. Not even that, right? And not 2,000 consistently in each month. So you're going to see a little bit of an incremental increase. You're not going to see like a 10,000 jump in Asia region. You're going to see 1,000, maybe 2,000, that sort of thing. If you want to call that a higher jump, that's fine. But imagine that between now and six, they got 6 more visa bulletins, right? In those 6 visa bulletins, they've got to go from where we are now to about some number probably just south of 20,000. So it's not, they don't have to do tons and tons of jumps, as we would call them. They can be quite small jumps. Nana says, AF 34,000 Ghana, and I transferred to Abidjan. Can I transfer it? Yeah, you can do a couple of things. So I understand why you transfer. I must admit, if I were you at the moment, I would not transfer it back. Not for the time being. If we see Ghana consistently start to sort of take cases next month as they have this, then yeah, you might want to email KCC see if you can move back. But your case number 34,000, so you should really do that before you become current. I don't think you become current next month. So wait at least a month, right? Now the other good thing that you can do is if you feel that your other embassy is going to schedule you sooner, you can wait to be scheduled in Abidjan in your case. Then once you have your 2NL, you can contact Accra Embassy and move back that way. Or just go ahead and keep the appointment that you've been given. Okay? There's various ways you can play it. Semi's lifestyle. My DS260, I placed high school diploma as my highest level of education, but now I have a bachelor's degree. The problems with name adjustment, nothing, it doesn't matter. Just go to the interview with documents that you have both your high school and your degree, and you'll show all of that, right? And the fact that you've got the bachelor's now is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. You reached the level of requirements before your bachelor's. So by all means, show your bachelor's. You should, but it's not like a big problem or anything like that. You don't have to worry about Hi, Simon. How are you? Is it a problem if I renew my passport? No, you can take your new passport to the interview and show them that's absolutely fine. Ideally, in some countries where they let you do this, keep your old passport, and then you can take both the old and new passport to the interview. If you think you can't keep your old passport, it might be good to photocopy it and some of the standard pages where you've been stamped into and out of various countries. From Nepal, what will be the last case number? There are no case numbers in Nepal higher than about 7,500. What will be the last case number made current? I can't be exact or precise. But what I have said is in cases above 10,000, probably in the starting sort of worrying range. It really, so what you have to understand is the number of studies that we've got for Nepal is probably a small enough number that they can all get a visa. But as soon as the winners are announced, people start marrying, people have babies. So that number is growing. The derivative rate of those cases is growing. And how many people are getting married and how many babies are being born? I don't know. This is why I can't be precise. How many of those families will not have the money in order to go through the process? Or, I don't know, right? We've got some fairly good ideas, but I can't be precise. So when people ask me to say, my number is 2,950, I can't tell you that you're going to be 49 places away from current or whatever. I don't know the numbers precisely. Nobody does, because we are talking about things that haven't happened yet, babies that haven't been born yet, marriages that haven't taken place yet, right? Places haven't taken place. Right, so things will happen that have not happened yet. Will change the number of people that get visas in your case, right? And that's why we can't be precise. That's one of the reasons we can't be precise, right? Zaid said, is the actual case number good for Morocco? Thank you in advance, right? So you need to be in the region. I know you're talking about good for Morocco, but you should say I'm AF34K, right? You could be in the EU 34K, in which case you'd be in trouble. AF34K, if it's an AF region number, it's probably good. On TV, if somebody is working as a sales officer for a rural bank for 5 years, is this going to qualify him or what experience required for job experience in that current? I don't think that a sales officer, I don't quite know what that sales officer job would entail, but a sales officer for a rural bank doesn't sound like sort of position that would be required to qualify you for the DB lottery, frankly. And Anchor in the past have been quite picky about job experience and education. So I don't think they would say a case based on what you're doing in that job experience. Rural bank, it doesn't sound like a very big, important job where you have to have lots of training experience, because I should imagine you could be a sales officer for a rural bank probably with about 17 minutes training, right? I don't think it's the 2 years training that is necessary to establish that position as a senior in this position for DV lottery. That's just my off the top of my head. Betty, hello, so waiting to another from Monday since weekend is long. Oh yes, it is a long weekend. Yeah, don't expect 2 to come out on Monday. Can it happen from 21? Oh, can 2 2 can happen until the end of the month. Right? So, yeah. And Monday is a bank holiday. It's Martin Luther King holiday. It's also the inauguration day of Trump. So that's not the reason for the holiday. It's MLK Day. Hello, Simon. What if the car embassy wants to I won DV. I want to qualify for this sales manager for 4 years, running my own business. What are my choices? So you should go and check out this link that I'm about to tell you. Google the words Brit Simon work experience and go to that link and understand how you qualify on work experience. A sales manager is one of those jobs where you can get through it sometimes. If you're a salesman, let's say there's a 19-year-old kid doing sales, and you're that 19-year-old kid's manager in a little business, maybe doing retail sales or something, or semi-commercial sales or something like that, then that sales manager job is not, it's not professional. It's not of a high enough level. You didn't need enough training to get into the job and that sort of thing. If, on the other hand, you're a sales manager managing a team of 80 people in a international business, where all sorts of things really are happening. You can look at your professional career progression up on the web, and you can produce work products and everything else, and maybe you can pass as a sales manager because you're managing a lot of people in a team. Therefore you're a person manager, and you're also somewhat technical, right? So there are different, horses for courses. Great assignment, work experience. Go read that page, and then go to the ONET online database, which describes the sort of characteristics that they consider a part of that sort of role, right? And so, you'll see the difference. Okay. What is your advice on transferring 37K from Addis to Finland? Don't do it. Addis is behaving wrongly. So, assuming they don't suddenly hit a brick wall, they have gone through a process where they seem to have fixed their problems. Whatever their problems were, they seem to fix those problems, and they're now taking DB lottery seriously. So I would not be transferring value from Addis to Finland. And again, you've made the mistake here. Said 37K. I don't know the so you need to make sure you give me the region. Okay. Lifestyle name format in educational documents. That issue. I already answered your question, Sammy. Do you think about 28K from Sri Lanka? I think it's very risky. I've explained why in my video, so you need to go watch my video. Speed from great. What documents do you need proof of work experience and have interview? Thank you. So, work experience proof varies by person, by situation, right? You would show things like your career progression on your curriculum vitae or resume. You would show perhaps letters from your employer showing what your duties and responsibilities are. You would show your salary, which shows that you're paid more than a regular job at your company. You would show work product or project work, whatever you've done. It depends what sort of job you do, right? In some cases, you can show a business card with your title. If your title is, physician, then you're going to pass on work experience anyway because you are a physician, right? And you're a medical doctor, etc. But if you're a medical doctor, you probably also pass your requirements for education, right? But take the point. Some jobs obviously qualify you. All you've got to do is prove that that job is qualifying you. In other jobs, the titles are a little bit more tricky, like the sales manager thing I was just giving. And in that case, you need to align your work experience and your resume and any statements you make against the ONET database expectation for that job role. Okay, so you need to line that up. So if it says that the sales manager does this and this and this and works with this software package and these tools and so on, if the ONET database says that, then you need to say that in your resume. You need to show that you have experience doing those things and using those tools. It very much depends what job title we're talking about here, whether you need to show those experiences. Okay, every case is different, right? Which is why I don't give a precise list of things that you need to prove. I'm just giving you ideas. Okay. Thank you for your service. We're very grateful. Thank you. Well, that's several times, Phoenicia. Any accepting 8,000 from Nepal? Probably yes. Predict the next VB for AF? No. Is it a good idea to transfer from Doha, Qatar to Abu Dhabi case number. You have a look at the date. Hello, because we won. What did we win? What did we win? We won. What did you win, Mantha? I mean, you won. You got issued, right? You just need to get damn ass into the country now, Mantha. Hey, come on. I would literally. Somebody suggested to you that they would have driven. I think Marek suggested that he would have driven to the embassy. I would have done the same thing. I would have driven to the embassy. I would have been knocking on the door of the embassy on Friday morning. And yeah, of course they say they don't have things out. Of course they say that, but nevertheless, I'd have done it. Now, having said that, as I later read, you are Canadian and Syrian background, right? In the previous bans, Canada had a special carve out, and dual nationality people were allowed to use their other nationality in order to enter the country. So you're probably less at risk than some people. But if Syria picks up a ban, you know, you would have been at risk had it not been for Canadian nationality. Actually, as it is, you're probably not quite as at risk, which means that you're not allowed to run around like a headless chicken worrying about things. You're just allowed illegal. Hi, Brent. Any updates on 2.5 for Abjan? No. Any updates there are, by the way? Every Friday, publishes his updates on his website, right? So dvcharts.zarthisius.xyz. Go there and you'll see all of his data, and it's updated every Friday. We also have another genius on our hands called Philip. He's got his own way of obtaining that data. He's publishing some good updates as well on a more regular basis. But I tend to agree with Zarthisius in saying the week-to-week updates are enough, really, for most people, unless you're a real nerd and you want to know day-by-day information. And I like knowing the day-by-day information, but for most people, week-to-week updates are okay. Moolah, Rick, what about DEOC 3420? No, she answered. Thank you, man. That's the case numbers in OC go up to 3,800, and that's just too many people. So you're not going to be lucky this year. But I will say this: for people in OC who've got a legitimate claim to OC, not someone who is from Nigeria and chooses Nauru or whatever, or just chooses Australia because they can. I've got some guy genuinely had done that for him and his wife. He just randomly picked a country in Oceania region to improve the chance of selection, and then wondered why I was telling him he was going to be disqualified. He didn't seem to understand. But anyway, your chance of reselection is very high, particularly if you're married. If there are if there's a couple and they both enter in the OC region and they have a plan to enter, let's say, 4 or 5 years running, they are very, very likely, like likely that not literally, more likely than not to be selected over a 4 or 5 year period. Your chance of selection is that good, particularly if there's 2 of you applying and you make a plan to apply every year for a few years, kind of thing. Your chance of selection is good. So a lot of people reason. Air 41K, bulletin moving slow, but hopefully all will be. Air 41K, you don't really have to. Anisha, you've posted several times. Your case number is obviously safe, right? It's obviously a safe number. You just need to use a little bit of common sense. I did say that people 10,000 had a problem. Less than 10,000, you then went on to ask multiple times. I don't know why. Black man, he's still high. Just get you notes. My notes not stunning. Good evening from Germany. Are you feeling any better tonight? I've been down probably the worst cold of my life these past days, getting better though. I've had a cold for over a month. I've had a sore throat and cold and cough and everything. It's really pissing me off. Yeah, I mean, my wife tells me I'm supposed to do all these things, remedies and things. She makes this weird lemon ginger potion every day. She's there over the stirring this cauldron of stuff that I'm drinking, but it seem to shake this off. It is almost better. It'll probably be gone in the next week or 2. Fingers crossed. Linda. Ooh. Oh man, this is a long post here. Linda, my husband, he did not finish high school. He did not finish school. Metric. So he's going. He has over 23 years of work experience in his trade. I did search my net for similar occupations or close matches, but didn't find any align with the question. Whether it would be best for my husband to pursue an adult metric program wouldn't help. To obtain a tenancy to grade, no, that wouldn't help. Doesn't help. If this would be beneficial, especially in the context of dealing with, no, it doesn't help. So the instructions for the DV lottery specifically call out GED or similar equivalent certificate. And what the GED is, and calls them out to be invalid for the process. The GED is like a course you can take in an exam that if you didn't graduate US high school, point where you could then enter a college, you can take the GED. And if you succeed in the GED, you're able to then say, well, yeah, I reached that level and I can enter a college, right? But that is the rules of the DV lottery specifically say that is not going to qualify you for the education experience. So that won't work. Because what you're talking about, the NSC thing, is equivalent to GED. You mentioned that he's been in a trade for 23 years. Depending on what that trade is, if that trade is something where he went for an apprenticeship for a couple of years before he was allowed to do other things, that might be okay, right? If he's a car mechanic, for example, then that probably would be okay. But there are certain trades where it is recognized that in order to do that trade, you have to, in other words, you have to go through a recognized educational training to do that job. The problem is that there are some jobs, let's say a carpenter. A carpenter might normally go through an apprenticeship and therefore should meet the qualification. But there are plenty of self-taught carpenters, and as a result, the job level on those sort of jobs is lower. So if you can tell me what sort of job he's done, and if that doesn't match, if he's supervisory in some level, or if he's managerial, let's say he's the manager of, let's say he's a carpenter himself, and now he's managing a team of 20 carpenters. That might be enough because he's the manager, right? So there are ways that you can present the case. But your education idea won't work. Okay. So my school diploma. My middle name is removed. Yeah, Montreal embassy is the worst one ever. That's bullshit. So Mumpa, who is just hanging around on the live session now, probably will tell you that he had bad expectations of Montreal and probably would have said similar sort of things to what you're saying here. We all told him that's not true. We all told him. We all told him his quote. We all told him that Iranians get a lot of DS5535. Montreal is commonly giving up DS5535. And yes, there is an obvious correlation between those two facts. If a lot of Iranians go to Montreal, then Montreal is going to show up as being, fairly high in DS5535. But what is weird about Montreal is that they also give DS55 to non-Iranians, to Europeans and Africans. Not in very, very high numbers, like the Iranians. But if you just stand back and look at Montreal looks like a high 5035 embassy, but actually it's not. It is because of the people who go there. Having said that, in general, it does give up more DS5535s than some other embassies, when those other embassies are, commonly experiencing, interviews with more Iranians, right? So, and I saw, if you're still listening to your reasoning, etc., and your discovery, it wasn't too much of a discovery, to be honest. Just you haven't really been paying attention you had been told before. That's okay. It is kind of one of the things I was talking about when I say things like you seem to have been lobotomized at some point, because you've been around long enough to know all these things. But anyway. So, or whatever your name is, Montreal Embassy is not the Stellar. They just gave our friend month ago a the same day went for interview, I think, on the next day. No. 2NLs hoping to be released soon. There's been over 1,000 2NLs being released already, but there is some weird stuff going on. They're not going quite as they should be. There appears to be some technical problems. But even with that, there are some obviously good stories coming out of the 2NLs in terms of the number of cases being interviewed. Casablanca has taken a pretty good number, 205, I think it is. Accra took 300. There's some good news that's already come out, right? Hi, Simon. Can I change the name? This might be a bit. I don't know if you change it. So I'll talk about British law, and American law is based a lot on British law, and things are different in different countries. But in British law, there's a process that you can go to. There's two ways of changing a name fundamentally. One is through a legal process, the other is just by doing it, right? Anybody can change their name, be called something different. If I want to be called Prince Simon tomorrow, I can do that in America and in the UK and so on. I can be Prince Simon, that can be my official name, right? But if somebody asked me to prove that my name is Prince Simon, and I didn't go through a legal process to change my name, which is called default in the UK, if I didn't go through that process, I have no document to prove that that's my name. So it's an alias that I use, but it's an informal alias, informally used alias. And so I can list that name, but I can't prove that that's my legal name. Right? So you need to apply with your legal name in the DS 260 and list your aliases or other names that you've been known by. And that particularly applies to women typically, where they take on the husband's name during marriage. That's why they list the name. There you go. Ooh. Month says not for me. Yep, for all good reasons. He had a very good time there. And I think had lots of very good things to explain. Actually, I've just approved your post, so people can go and read about your Montreal experience. Right? Any update on currency? No, but when you can go and have a look at the data. I was shown many times how to look at the data. Different name for how am I doing? I'm doing great, thank you. Do you think Morocco could reach 57K? Maybe. Hello, Simon. Any update across Nairobi Post Embassy? Still patient. Hello, Simon. What if CX status AP initially after interview due to pending after 28 days from suspicion testing and 10 days after interview? Hopefully it didn't change to Teddy, hopefully it changed to Ready. It's not really a coherent question here. You've just garbled a couple of things together. And at the front of that, you've put what if. Right? I don't know what the question is here. You've got to rephrase the question for me to know what's going on. What is wrong with Nairobi? I don't know if there's anything wrong at Nairobi. Right? You guys are just being very impatient. Dramatic, and you don't need to be. So you did talk about exempt countries in Africa. I've explained why there are exempt countries. There are some countries where that country has a high number of selectees, and most of the selectees go to that one embassy, and that one embassy, and also that those countries typically have all of the winners condensed in lowercase numbers, although that's not always the case. But in that situation, they spread out the processing over a period of time. Right? That's what the accept thing does. And that's why they say accept Egypt, for example, slow it down. Egypt or Cairo has all the Egyptians and it has 5,500 Egyptians. It's got all the Sudanese. There's another 5,500 people. So there's 11,000 people. Plus a bunch of other people from all over the world, a lot of them from Africa, live in Egypt, live in and will interview in Cairo. So it's an immensely busy operation there, and they spread their workload out. Right? Shouldn't be. It's not brain surgery. That's just fairly obvious. So that's the explanation. How are you? My case number is AF250, so 25,000. So currently in stage 3. I'm from Nairobi, actually. Can you advise and change it to Addis Ababa? Nairobi is currently performing below average. So this is one of those tricky things. You are just above the current number. When your number becomes current, you probably find yourself being locked into the AV queue, or the queue of people in that status, which is current for interview access in stage 4. And at that point, it becomes many times more difficult to move your own. So you're asking the right question at the right time, right? Should you move? And this is precisely the right time for you to be asking that question. Unfortunately, it's early to give up on Nairobi, in my opinion. I personally wouldn't give up on Nairobi, but I recognise that it is a gamble in sticking with Nairobi based on what we've seen so far. So for you, what I would suggest is this: wait a week or 2 weeks. A week or 2 weeks. Don't wait until we get into February, because the next visa bulletin that is coming between February the 8th and February the 15th will probably make the case current. Right? So don't wait until then. But by the end of this month, we should have seen what Nairobi is doing. It will probably, in my opinion, I'm guessing they will probably start to take a decent number of interviews. If they do that, stick with them. They're a good embassy, right? If they don't take a decent number of interviews in this month, then yeah, you can move. And strange for me to say, but yes, if you wanted to move to Addis, you would probably have better chance in Addis. If that's the case, right? But you have time, therefore, between the end of this month and the 8th of February to make that change. You would very quickly write to KCC, unlock your DS60, and modify your address to an address in Addis, or near to the Addis embassy, so that you would be scheduled there. Right? That's how you would do it. And there is time for you to do that in the month of Big Boss. We have a couple of people who want to see my interview experience. Yeah, I've approved it. I posted twice. I posted twice because you're impatient. How can we fix it? It's not broken. It's not fixing it. It's just me approving it. And you must have heard me saying that to people before. Really, it goes in this ear and comes out that ear half the time. I don't know. Do I have to move my case now, or what? Don't move your case now. It's obviously going to be many months before you're ready, before your case number is current. So you don't have to do anything there, right? Relax. 69K for Dakar Senegal. I'm safe. Am I safe? Trying to say, I think. No, you're not safe. It's not because you're in Dakar. It's because you're 69K. Your number is relatively high. It probably doesn't matter what you do. You're at risk anyway, right? The only chance that you have is something weird going on, like the screw-in factor, where KCC comes on and makes Africa current at the last minute, as they have done the last couple of years. And in fact, if the more embassies in Africa that do well, like Accra coming online, like Addis behaving well, Nairobi maintaining the form they've shown over the last years, Cairo coming online, right? If those embassies do well, literally just the 4 I'm talking about there, then there will be no last minute screw it factor, because they have more than enough capacity within those embassies to make sure that the year goes pretty well for Africa region. And if the year goes well, then they will get closer to their 23,600 quota pretty early. Right? They'll do that. I'm not saying that they'll run out of visas in August, but they'll probably be close in August. That's probably what will happen. So good evening, Emma. I'm from Cameroon. I have 64 408. Do you think I will make it to interview? Maybe, maybe not. The number is a problem. Can you make predictions about accepted countries in Africa? Yeah, there will be accepted countries in Africa. That's the prediction. As to the numbers and how far behind the regular number, no, I'm not going to make that prediction. Partly because I'm not making a prediction about the regular numbers in Africa. So why would I make predictions about things? Hello, sir. Should I just drop my case, or is there any good for you? AS 28,200. What would it mean to drop your case? What would that mean, right? Now, some random dude on the internet tells you your case number is too high. Does that really stop you from doing anything? There is no dropping your case. The reality is that you'll have to wait and see anyway, right? I'm warned that I think your case number is too high. It probably is too high. You're probably not going to get it. So at least you know that. Right? And I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm trying to be honest with you and giving you legitimate, honest information. However, I could be wrong, right? And things could go weird. If Trump blocks Iran, for example, the numbers in Asia are going to go much higher. And the chances of him blocking Iran, I would say, is 50-50. It's quite likely, right? So things can change, right? So obviously, because some random dude on the internet does something, you don't do anything. And also, there is no anything you can do to drop your case. You can't withdraw your DS360. There is no dropping it, right? It's either you just have to wait and see. That's the only thing you can do, right? So it's kind of a silly question, is what I'm trying to say. Pius Machukugu. Hybrids are in Nairobi is not sent to anyone since no. Are we really safe, or should we just transfer to other? I've already. Hello, sir. Why they selected many people while visas are 55,000? They do it every year. And they even explain the rationale. And every year people are surprised. And every year people are saying, oh, it can't be like that. You must have that wrong, Simon. You're wrong, Mr. Simon. You're wrong. The reality is that they over-select too many people. And they do that deliberately. And there is a number which is much higher than you would think, where they could over-select people to that number and everybody would still go current, right? And that number is probably under 100,000, just under 100,000, right? But as soon as they start going over 100,000, that tends to indicate there will be some people that will miss out in the process, right? Some cases are too high. They do it because they need backups, right? It's like having a soccer team. You have the players that are going to play on the pitch, and the players are going to play, and you've got two dudes sitting on the bench. They're backups. You don't know if somebody on the pitch is going to get injured, so you have a backup, right? And that's a lot of people are backups. That's what they're for, right? They don't know what's going to happen. Let's say, so they've selected 55,000 people in Africa for 23,000, right? However, one embassy, Cairo, controls the process for 11,000 of those 55,000 people, right? 1 in 5 people are tied up in Cairo. And if Cairo embassy were to go through some sort of problem that meant you couldn't get interviewed at Cairo, it would destroy the chances of 11,000 people in that one place, right? And so then all the other people, the other 44,000 people selected, would have a better chance of interview because Cairo went down and took out the chances of 11,000 people. Now, KCC are selecting these numbers, not really KCC, but the government are selecting these numbers 2 years, essentially 2 years before the time period, right? And they don't know what political stuff will go on. They don't know what pandemics will arise. They don't know any of those things. All they know is they keep selecting the numbers. And in Africa, they've been over-selecting and over-selecting. And Africa still fails to meet its quota, right? So they keep over-selecting. That's what's going on. And in fact, although the number of visas are reduced by about 6% this year. So instead of having 55,000 visas, we only have 52,000 visas. Um, 4 regions out of the big 5 had a reduction in the number of selectees. Africa had an increase of 1.66%. So they increased the number of selectees in Africa, whilst they reduced the number of selectees in Asia, EU, Oceania, and South America. And that's because what is frustrating the government is they keep increasing the numbers for Africa, and Africa still fails to meet its quota. And because Africa fails to meet its quota, they then take visas from Africa and they give them to the other embassies, the other regions, I should say. And it's it's a bit of a failure of the program in a sense. And what the government have learned is that they need to keep increasing the number of selectees. So even though they've really increased the number of African selectees by 1.66%, it's actually quite a big increase when you compare it to the reductions in the other regions. It's quite a big increase. And so, so they keep saying, well, Africa doesn't seem to take all its quota, why not? Well, we'll just make more people selected then in Africa. And that's where the problem starts. How's Anchor going so far? Terrible. I didn't know that interview experience is required for approval. All of it all requires my approval. It's just the way WordPress works. I promise you, this never came up in the last 8 months. I promise you it has. I promise you, on live sessions and in various places, probably on the channels that we frequent together, I promise you, I've mentioned this other times, on various things, etc. But also, it's just WordPress. WordPress. Dan, is it normal that EU current case number progresses so slowly? I was going from 12 to 13k a month. Yeah, because you may be thinking that it's going to hit 40,000. It isn't going to hit 40,000. Right? So it's not really a problem. You also probably didn't watch my video that I made the other day that explained where the interviews come from. So yes, they only increased it by 1,000. That only released, I think, a month or maybe who worked out the number of cases that were being revealed by that extra 1,000. I think he said there were 65 cases in that 1,000, which would be about right. So they reveal or they made current 1,000 cases, but they have a lot more cases than that were already current under 12,000 that have not been scheduled. And if those cases now had the TS260 process, that's where the majority of the interviews would come from, not that 12 to 13,000 men. So, you think it's going slowly. In reality, there are more people scheduled than DV24 or 23. It's actually going. Okay. F38K JMB. It's not Johannesburg. Do I still have a chance? Oh, it's Johannesburg. Isn't JMB JH? Or JHB? Maybe it's Johannesburg. Anyway, do I stand a chance that F38K? I don't know. But how is that looking for 2026? No. That's way too early to be asking that question, right? You understand that you're talking about interviews that will be happening from October 1 of 2025. That's 10 months away, almost 10 months away, to a year later than that. How's it looking for 2026? I don't know if it would be a longer timeline. Who would know, right? I Kobe Ivan Music. Hello, Simon. Please, how are you doing? My case number is AF24 for my Sierra Leone. When shall I be expecting good news? You. Okay, you're already current, obviously. Sierra Leone, you can go and have a look at data. I've explained to people time and time again, many times, how to use the data that South Asia presents to understand whether your case with your embassy is backlogged or not. Let me just let me just let me do that. Okay, so I can see that because it's come up like 5,000 on this slide. So let's see. So this yes. Okay, please, if you want to know about your country, please watch what I'm about to show you. Right? No, there we go. Because it would really help me if you guys would just kind of follow the instructions I'm giving and do this for yourselves. Right. So let's put that down, and we'll show the screen. Okay. Okay. So, the way you want to look at an embassy is first of all you scroll down the page on South wonderful, wonderful site. Then you put in the embassy that you're interested in, and you start looking at some things. How many 2NLs have they had so far today? They've had 40 so far today in the first 5 months of scheduling. It's an average of 8 a month. What does that do in terms of where did they get to? Well, you can see here what they've done. They're ready. They're all ready. That's really interesting. Already, they've not issued any. So what that tells me is that they probably didn't take any cases at all for October, November, December, because none of them are reported as being issued or on PP or whatever else. Right? They're all just in ready status. That tells me that they're probably January and February cases, interviews, right? And you can see how those 40 cases are laid out there. But you can also see that they are they are in the 1 to 2,000 range. There's 11 cases in the 1 to 2,000 range. In the 2001 to 4001 range, there are 17 cases, and there are 12 cases in the 4,000 to 6,000 range. Right now, the numbers are current up to 25,000. And they haven't had any interviews scheduled yet in this month, so we'll have to watch that carefully. But even up until the beginning of this month, they were backlogged, right? They had only taken 40 cases for the first 5 months, and they only reached case number 6,000. So they are backlogged, and we have to watch that. Something we have to be careful of. Now, we'll start to see their capacity coming through. So one of the things that you should do is you can look at 24 data, look at 24 data, and compare the performance from 1 year to the last year. Right? So on January of last year, on our first break from SEAC, we had 140 cases. That's 100 cases more. So 25 is looking worse than 24 for the first 5 months of scheduling. And then in terms of monthly capacity, so we have the January ones, they took 60. February, they took 37, maybe 40. In March, they took 36. In April, they took 40. In June, they didn't take anything in May, but they doubled the numbers in June, and they probably rescheduled some people. That's what they often do. So that's like 81 cases, right? And then in July, they took 30, and then the final push, July and the August ones you see there, they were interviews for September, so they took 60 cases in September. So their capacity on a monthly basis, something like 40 cases roughly, based on last year's performance, maybe 40, maybe 50, and they can edge a little bit towards 60 if they really need to. Now, if you look at the number of cases, so that's 24 performance. If you look at the number of cases per 1,000, let's say they end up, just for simplicity, let's say they end up at 12 cases for 2,000. That's 6 cases per 1,000 going to Sierra Leone, right? So then you say, okay, well, how many cases do they need? If my case number is 20,000 more than that, and it's 6,000 per 6 cases per 1,000, then 20 times 6, right, is 120 cases. That's 3 months worth of scheduling. So in 3 months, it's going to take 3 months at 40 cases a month to get to case number 26,000. Right? So you can begin to predict not just where they are today, but where they will be in 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months from now. Now, I was able to do this. I particularly took an interest in Addis last year. I made these sort of predictions working on the number of cases on a monthly basis in terms of capacity, and then also looking at the SEAC data to say how many cases per thousand. And I think it was about, from memory, about 30 cases per thousand in Addis last year. It changes year to year. You can't take that number as being correct in each year. You have to calculate it in each year. But if we said that 12 per thousand is, 12 per 2,000 is about the number, that's 6 per thousand. And that means that they can move, like if they do 40 cases, they can do they can do about 6 to 6,500 VB numbers per month with 40 per month. If they do 60 interviews in 1 month, they're going to do 10,000 increase in 1 month, right? So you can begin to relate the capacity to the number of cases per thousand and make predictions about whether they're going to get to your case or not. Which means that if you're in Sierra Leone, Freetown, and you're at 50,000, right? Even though 50,000 may get current, it is 44,000 numbers higher than today's number. I have to get a calculator out. So then I would say, okay, so it's 44,000 numbers, 44 times 6. That's 264 cases that have to be scheduled. And if they took an average of 40 per month, that would be 6.6 months, right? That's getting a bit dodgy, which tells me that they may get to case 50,000 at current pace if their current pace is measured at 40 per month. But we have to see what their current pace is. Let's see what they take in January and in February. So if your case number is, let's say, 40,000 or 50,000 or 55,000, and you're in Sierra Leone, you need to start understanding the math that I've just shown you there, right? And if you just want to know whether your embassy is backlogged or not, well, you need to look at this and say, okay, cases are current in Africa up to 25,000. My embassy is only scheduled up to 6,000. That means it's backlogged. So, and you can look at DB24 data to see whether they are a high-performing embassy or not. And also, if you look at DB24 data, bear in mind that in DB24, it went all the way current to 122,000. Sierra Leone only scheduled cases up to about 78,000, right? Which meant that they maintained their backlog right until the final month. Not particularly unusual. Quite a number of embassies did that. But it is an indication of what I'm saying, that you could be current but not get an interview at your embassy, and you need to be aware of how your embassy performs. Okay. Okay. So much for me going quickly through the questions. It's been 5 days since I got my second letter email, but I can't find an appointment letter. Yeah. So what? We're talking about your appointment letter for a March interview. I'm checking my watch here. And it still says we're in January, and your interview is until March, which means that you're being impatient, according to my watch. All right? Calm down, you'll be fine. Med, any hope you talk about the same countries? How is the Nepal embassy performing? They're okay, but you can have a look at the data. Hello, Simon. Is it safe to meet AS6900 in Doha, Qatar? 6900 is good, but again, look at the data in the way I just showed. AF56K in Nairobi is safe. Again, look at the data, but understand that Nairobi has not scheduled cases in January and February, and we need to see whether they're going to schedule cases for the month of March or not to see what happens. And Laura says, what does current mean in the visa bulletin? When you see a region has the word current next to it, it means that every case number in that region is able to be interviewed. That's essentially what it means. From a legal point of view, it means any case can be scheduled. However, it does not mean every case number will be scheduled. It can be a bit of a curse. How Nepal embassy is performing as compared to previous years? Please go and do the exercise I just showed. As my Brit Simon says, link, yeah, So, if CX status was AP after interview initially, we did all this, didn't we? We did this before, but okay. Let me just see if you've managed to reword it properly. What if CX status was AP after interview initially due to medical pending, but after 28 days from sputum testing and 10 days after interview, it changed to ready? What is your question? You did this to me before. This is the same damn thing you did to me a few minutes ago. That's lovely. You constructed a sentence lovely. What is the question? Okay. What are you asking? Please ask the question. What do you think about Casablanca performance? It was a great. Where are we? What do you think about Casablanca performance? It was a great movie. It was reckoned to be one of the best performances for black and white movies at that time. But I'm probably assuming that you're more interested in the Embassy of Casablanca than the movie. I'm in a funny mood this morning. And I'm glad to say that Casablanca took 205. I think it was 205 cases this week. Let me just check that on my super duper data set that everybody has access to and nobody seems to ever take the time to look at. 208. So they took 208 cases. Right? Oh, that was in a month, a movie. I think I've got that music in my head. I think because of this cheeky little, that one of you guys, Month made, trying to say where you were right about the inauguration month. It wasn't right. You were wrong. But I think you used that movie. Anyway, 208. Yeah, 208 cases, which is good because that took them up to about 18,000. So it's a little backlog still, but pretty good. Now, you can see this is another example where people can start to actually use their own math skills and figure out what's going on. So here's an embassy again. Make this a little bit bigger. Massive. Gee. Already massive. You should be able to see this. I'm going to go down here. Right, okay, here. Here's what I want. I'm just going to hide your words to make it easier. Right, so these blocks are in 2,000 ranges. 1 to 2,000, 2,000, 4,000, 4,000, 6,000. And you can see that the number of cases per 2,000 are around about the 70 level, roughly. A little bit below, a little bit above, probably a bit more above, below, 75. But let's just call it 70, right? Which means that there are 35 cases per 1,000, roughly speaking, at that embassy, right? At Casablanca. Ignore this half block. That's kind of like where they got to a half number. They only got to probably they got to 17,000 is what my assumption would be there. But so 35 cases per 1,000. So if they issue 200 interviews per month, right? That is like moving 6,000 VB numbers at once, right? 6,000 at once. So you can say, okay, there are 17,000 right now. My case number, let's just say, is 29,000. 29,000, how many 6,000 blocks is it until my case number? Well, that's two months worth, right? It will take me, if I do the calculation between 17,000 and 29,000, that's 12,000. 12,000 at 35 interviews per month, right, would be 420 interviews, right? A little bit of math there, right? So bring up the calculator so we're all on the same page. So I'm saying that Casablanca has a capacity of capacity of 200 and something, but has 35 cases per 1,000. And if we're going to move 12,000, or if it was to be 12,000, that's 420. Since they just issued 208, I can say reasonably that to get to my 29,000 number, they're probably not going to be there at 208 cases per month until they have had 2 full months of schedule, right? Which means I'm not going to be interviewed at March, right? Because that's just come out to get to these. I'm not going to be interviewed in April or May. I'm going to be interviewed in June with my AF 29,000 number. bad. How can that change? It can change because Casablanca can do more than 200 a month. How do I know that? Well, I can go and look at the data from last year, which is the same damn thing I showed you just a minute ago. So if we look at the data from last year and you start to see the number of people, the number of cases they took on a monthly basis, they took 350 in the month of March. After no cases at all in February, that's kind of a down, but they took 320 in the month of May. So they can take 300 in a month. If we looked at BB23, we would see evidence of the same sort of thing. Casablanca, actually, last year wasn't great for DB charts, 23. Let's just go there. Casablanca, I believe, was better in DV23 than it was in DV24. Let's have a quick look there. Okay. And we see, yeah. So in DV23, they took 398 in 1 month, right? And that was after, in March, they took 321. That's good. In April, they took 398. Very good. In May, they took 240. In June, they took 240. So this is an embassy. Casablanca is an embassy that has the physical capacity. They have enough windows. They have enough staff. Now, if half the staff are sick or have been, or they cut the staff or something, then their capacity is reduced. But what we see from previous years is that they could do more than 200 a month, right? And so my case number, if I'm supposing whether my case number will be interviewed in, let's say, May or in June, it really depends how many cases per month they take, right? The capacity that they get. If that 208 number increases to 300 next month, then I'm going to feel a lot more confident about a May interview rather than June. Right? You can do that same math for any number, and you can do the same math for any embassy. Really, you can pay attention to the method there, and it works. Okay. Okay, Discover the World said, interviews are scheduled numerically based on case numbers that are completed processing. Can you elaborate more? Thank you, sir. This is some wording that comes from a standard email that KCC sends out. I don't know why I need to elaborate more, but interviews are scheduled numerically. So numerically, based on the visa bulletin, based on your number, higher numbers get scheduled later than lower numbers. That's what scheduled numerically means. Interviews is what we're talking about, based on numbers that have completed processing. Completed processing refers to DS260. What more do I need to elaborate? Can you be a bit more specific? Oh, my mic cut off a little bit just now. Seems to be better though. Hello. So that's what I'm answering. Is there a way to know how many cases are assigned VS scheduled to each embassy, whether just show you? I heard something about Houston, Texas. Texas. I'm a pharmacist, dad of 2 boys, and need work and a low cost of life. Houston's not bad. It's not bad. Right? I would always recommend you go and look at a site called areavibes.com and go look at that. And you can put down Houston, or you can go into any suburbs in Houston. In Houston, there are good areas and there are bad areas, which is like pretty much any area. I live in one of the most expensive areas in the USA. But I can tell you that I could drive 15 minutes from here and be in a very dangerous area, right? So just because I live in a nice, expensive area doesn't mean that there's bad areas. There isn't bad areas nearby. And Houston has got some problem areas, same as other places, right? So generally speaking, you look at the house prices and you look at the price of rent and that sort of thing. And cheaper places tend to be worse. Quite simply, the economy tends to be worse. The safety factors and that sort of thing tend to be worse. Cheaper areas tend to have lower quality education. So a lot of people in America are just used to the fact that if you want good education for your kids, unless you want to pay for private education, then you pay more to live live in a smaller house in a good area, right? That's basically what you do, and you do that according to schools. And there's another website which I think is greatschools.org, and that will tell you the good schools. They're rated from 1 to 10, so you can see where the schools are good and that sort of thing. That's what we're doing too. Okay. Wow, we're an hour and 20. I don't have my wife here at home today, so she's working. She's a realtor. She's the best realtor I know, and she's selling a house today. So I took a little bit more time than I thought, but I spent too long here, and I'm stressing my voice. Let me see. Did I keep up? No, I didn't keep up with all the questions. Damn it. No, I can see. Oh, my microphone. Check the microphone. Probably. Yeah, there's a microphone problem. Oh dear. I don't know what I did to it. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. I hope my microphone is somewhat working. But I'm going to call it a day because it's 1 hour and 25 minutes in. And if you have questions, the sound is very bad. Lots of people saying the same thing. Did it return to sound is pretty bad today. I'm sorry. So for the last few minutes, the audio has been bad. I apologize for that. But please do go and ask your questions at brittsimonsays.com. Okay? And I'll try and fix the microphone for the next session. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.